Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of this F1 25 Joshua Pearce career mode. This is part 24 of the series and the final episode of season 1. If you did miss the last episode, it was the perfect weekend. It was the clean sweep with both pole positions, the sprint win and the Grand Prix victory for ourselves. We had mega pace around Qatar and it was probably our most convincing victory of the season. Max Verstappen will be heading into this final race of the season as the world champion. He sealed the deal in Las Vegas a couple of episodes ago, but he will go in with a 65-point lead to Lando Norris and myself in third, 43 points behind Lando, and our teammate Sonny Hayes is in ninth. He's 43 points behind George Russell, and Red Bull lead the Constructors' Championship by only 20 points to McLaren. So it is still all to play for the World Constructors' Championship and even for ourselves as well. So Ferrari in third, they're 134 points behind McLaren, so they're out of the question for P2. But we sit fourth, only 15 points behind the Ferraris. So there's two big constructor battles going on into this final race of the season. So it's all hands on deck to try and make sure that we can maximize this race weekend to gap that 15-point deficit that we do have to the Ferraris and try and get ourselves ahead of them in today's race. But we're going to go to the durability, and this is now going to be all of the parts that we need adapting saved for next season, with there being only a few left for the aerodynamics that still need to be done. So hopefully we'll receive enough R&D points over the course of the weekend to be able to purchase those last few there in the aerodynamics. And then we've got 3 new parts on the car for this final race of the season, being a new engine cover and a couple of upgrades for the MGUH. And we still have the fastest car, but for the first time since Mexico, we do have a small gain in the performance charts. Red Bull, the second fastest car, ahead of the McLarens in that constructors battle, and Ferrari and Mercedes still on near identical pace, with Alpine making some ground on Williams and Haas as well. Sauber still the slowest team, but they're only just behind the Racing Bulls as we now go straight into the final qualifying session of this season.
Welcome along, everybody. It's the fastest day of the week, qualifying Saturday, and we're here in Abu Dhabi.
It's the final qualifying session of the season. We've had some great performances so far this season here in qualifying, so hopefully we can make this one a good one to end on as well. But unfortunately, we're going to be taking an engine penalty for needing a new ICE. I was tempted to try and make my last one last, the Grand Prix, but I figured that I would rather finish the race than lose the championship due to retirement for a part that could have been changed, and it would only result in a small grid drop. So we're going to be starting a little bit further back to wherever we qualify, and on our first flying lap here, we've got a little bit of traffic to deal with, but ultimately that's not going to be my issue here. It's going to be me running wide at the hairpin, so that's going to set up this back straight for me to go a little bit slower, and then we're just going to deal with even more traffic, and we're going to go down the inside of Fernando Alonso and make contact, and in the end spin it. And that was just a little bit clumsy, and yeah, I'm trying to find a gap now to get ourselves back in and try and get ourselves a first flying lap here in this first part of qualifying. And we do end up going around again on the same set of tyres we did before. I was tempted to use a fresh set of tyres just in case if we'd used a bit too much of the tyre. In the end, though, it's Max Verstappen fastest in qualifying 1 by 2/10 to Charles Leclerc. Then it's Piastri in third, 6/10 behind. Hayes in fifth. He's 9/10 off the pace of myself. All the way down in P10, we're 1.2 seconds behind. And knocked out in qualifying 1 is Lance Stroll by 700ths. The Ferrari of Hamilton. That may just make the chase for third in the constructors a bit easier for ourselves. Liam Lawson, Esteban Ocon, and the second Racing Bull of Isaac Hadjar, and the second Haas of Oliver Behrman, not making it into this next part of qualifying. It's Verstappen. He's gone fastest in this part of quali. We go around the final corner using all the track available to us and use the ERS to the line, and we go fastest, 2 purple sectors on that flying lap. And Hayes, he jumps up to second, and that's the way it stays when the checkered flag falls. And it's by 2/10 to our teammates. Apex GP 1-2 in this part of qualifying. Piastri's in third, 3/10 behind. And Bortoletto, he makes it into Q3 with his Sauber. And knocked out here in the second part is Alex Albon by 500ths. Fernando Alonso, Kimi Antonelli, Yuki Tsunoda, Jack Doohan, and Nico Hulkenberg not making it to the shootout. And for our first flying lap here, it is going to be alright. We're a little wide there at the apex of the final corner. We put it into second position, but we're 6.5 off Max Verstappen in pole position. He's had an absolute flyer of a lap, and unfortunately, we can't find that time. We find half of what we need, the 3.5 tenths of just about, and unfortunately, that's going to keep us second. And so in the end, we miss out on pole position by just shy of 3/10. And it's Verstappen on pole for the final race of the season. But we do receive our grid penalty. So we're going to be not on the front row with him. And Piastri will end up in third, 6/10 behind. The highest placed Ferrari in our battle is Charles Leclerc, 4th position. Hayes is in 7th, 1.3 seconds behind. And I shouted him out at the end of the last session, but Gabriel Bortoleto ends up in 10th position.
It's time then for one final race in this year's Formula One World Championship. 2010 saw 4 drivers in contention for the title coming into this race, with Sebastian Vettel prevailing to become the youngest world champion to date. Is there one last sting in the tail awaiting us today? Well, it's time to find out. Here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The drivers will be racing here at the Yas Marina circuit through 16 corners and a lap distance of around 3.28 miles. There are a few opportunities to pass with long straights and DRS zones in 2 places, so plenty of close racing, then plenty of speed and plenty of drama to be found in the laps ahead. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Gasly, Russell, Oscar Piastri and Albon, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Pearce and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, Tsunoda, Doohan, Lance Stroll and Hayes, Hamilton, Lawson, Carlos Sainz and Esteban Ocon, Bortoleto, Hadjar, Behrman and Nico Hülkenberg rounds off the grid. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And alongside me here today in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. So it's the final race of the season. We've had a brilliant time this campaign, but as one team principal told us a bit earlier, today we finish this campaign, tomorrow we start the new one.
Absolutely, Crofty. Before you go into the long winter break, you want to show the rest of the world how good you are. The championship's done and dusted. This one is for your own personal pride.
Okay, radio check, radio check. If you go away from this weekend having not given it everything, you're going to be devastated and disappointed for months. So let's get out there and give it a really strong finish and leave it all out on the track.
Man, what a motivational speaker Mark is, and so that has actually changed things if you didn't catch it. Leclerc has been promoted the pole position to make the Constructors battle just that little bit harder now, and Hayes has also taken some components, so he's back here with me. And so for our strategy, it's going to be the one-stop, starting on the mediums and then boxing for the hard compound tyres on lap 13. So let's do this one more time here in Season 1, and we're away for the Grand Prix, and it's a wicked start for Fernando Alonso. Look at him go as he tries and get the position away from Alex Albon. We're going to make it 3 wide on the inside of the 2 of them, and we get that position done. So we're already up into 7th position now as we chase down Max Verstappen, and he's boxed in behind George Russell, and Pierre Gasly has managed to get himself to 4th position. But look at the minimap. Leclerc has bolted, he's gone, he's already got a few car lengths as we make it not only on Max Verstappen, but George Russell as well. I kind of let off the brake pedal a little bit there when I saw how much he was actually being checked up there. And ahead of us, it's the 2 McLarens going at it. Leclerc, he's out of here. He's already got a 2nd over the field. Norris gets himself up into 2nd position as they'll continue to go side by side through the chicane here. It's Norris on the inside, Piastri to the outside. Is he going to be able to hold it? There's contact between the McLarens, and it's going to be Piastri now ahead of Lando Norris. And then it's Pierre Gasly in 4th position. We sit in 5th. Are we going to be able to do anything coming up into this new sweeper here at the end of the 2nd DRS straight? No, we can't, but the McLarens continue to go side by side. This has been an absolutely brilliant start to the Grand Prix. Leclerc, though, he's now already extended to nearly 2 seconds. We go down the inside of Pierre Gasly as we head to the hotel here. We drive under the overpass, and the 2 McLarens make more contact as they continue to go side by side. We're now going really slow, trying to find our way through here and see if we can't get ourselves past the McLarens as they continue to battle it out. And we do go down the inside of Oscar Piastri at the final corner. Leclerc sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and he is 3 seconds ahead of us now. So our I'm going to say title rival. I mean, it's for the constructors, but we need to outscore Ferrari, so we cannot let a Ferrari be in front of us whatsoever. So him being 3 seconds ahead is already making today that much harder as we go all the way to the inside. But we kind of get baited a little bit, so we run deep at the chicane, make a little bit of contact with Oscar Piastri. So it's pretty much dodgem carts here at the start of this Grand Prix. We get the warning there for the collision with Piastri. It was a little bit there of a whack onto his side pod, but ultimately using the DRS, we'll get ourselves back ahead of Oscar here, and that is us now up into second position, but it's 2.5 seconds to Charles Leclerc. So we kind of need to knuckle down now and see if we can't get ourselves past, well, we're past the McLarens, but we have to get ourselves outside of the DRS as Verstappen and Russell, they're battling it out. We see these guys in real life have a bit of a rivalry, and the rivalry continues here with Verstappen now ahead of George. But is that going to stay for too much longer with the DRS? But a bit of a train is actually forming. Fernando Alonso, he's able to use a bit of his speed that he's got over George Russell, so he's going to be able to get himself up into 7th position. Russell, though, looks like he's trying to hold it up the inside into the first part of the chicane, and ultimately will get squeezed out by Fernando, and he's only 3/10 behind, so he could get himself back ahead, but it looks like he's going to be under attack though from Alex Albon. A little quick check there, because we were also under attack from Oscar Piastri. All is good for us, but back to the battle here between the Williams and the Aston Martin of Fernando Alonso. It is going to be Albon who's going to keep the inside line. Is he going to hold position, or is Fernando able to hang it around the outside? It looks like he will be able to, because it will give him the inside now for this next part of this section here under the overpass, and Fernando will hold on to that P7 position ahead of Alex Albon. Back to Max Verstappen though. He's now getting himself ahead of Pierre Gasly. So to be fair, in that Alpine, Pierre's done pretty well to hold his own there. He's in P6 now. He's lost the position to Max, but ultimately I feel like that was going to be the case. Lap 4, so he's done a little bit better than I thought. Albon gets himself back ahead of Fernando Alonso. We now lose the position to Oscar Piastri, so not too much there to show. It was just a simple DRS overtake there. We've let him go in the hope that maybe he can chase down Charles Leclerc, and that is exactly what's happening. Look at that gap. That is absolutely coming down. So we've just been sticking in the DRS of Oscar Piastri, letting Piastri do all of the work for us, and that has now brought up the top 4 now, all nearly within the DRS of each other. We get our first objective, which is to stay ahead of Lando Norris. So that is absolutely something that we need to make sure we do, because if we let Lando go by us, that puts us in a pretty bad spot, because not only is there 2 cars then between us and Charles Leclerc, but also the McLarens are the next best car beside the Red Bull. So we're going to be trying to get past a pretty good car, and I do not want to be doing any extra overtakes than I really need to. Going on to lap 6 there, you can see the gap at the top has shrunk into the DRS now. So I would feel like a overtake for the lead of the Grand Prix is absolutely imminent, as Russell and Alonso do battle it out. It is Russell up into 7th position ahead of Fernando. Our teammate Hayes, from starting down in the field, he started all the way down in 14th, so he's doing really well to already get himself up into 10th position. That is a points-paying position, and absolutely crucial for our constructors' hopes if we want to try and get 3rd position. And what I spoke about the gap just before, but never even took note that it is Oscar Piastri that's already got himself ahead of Charles Leclerc, as we go for the very late dive on Leclerc, and we catch him napping into the last corner. We did that move on Oscar Piastri, and now we've done it to Charles Leclerc, and that is us now up into 2nd position. And it looks like Leclerc is actually struggling a little bit, because we've pulled away from him a little bit, but unfortunately, we didn't make the move as quickly as I thought, because we've now lost the DRS to Oscar Piastri. So if we wanted a shot at winning this, which I honestly didn't think that I probably would have a shot at winning this after having to take the engine penalty, because this is just generally a track I'm not very good at. I've always struggled on all of the F1 games around here, and so this is a bit of a shock at the pace that we're currently running, but I would hope that my lack of confidence around here could kind of be mitigated by the fact that we have got such a dominant car. So hopefully this will go to plan, and we can try and chase down Oscar Piastri, as the gap is now less than a second. So hopefully we can get this done, as Leclerc and Norris now bail it out. This is only going to improve our situation, because look at that gap. It is now over 3 seconds to the car behind us, as they make a little bit of contact going through the hotel section there, and it is going to be Norris now ahead of Charles Leclerc. So Leclerc from pole position now falls to 4th position, but he now finds himself in the DRS of Lando Norris, and because they had that battle, Norris doesn't have the aid of DRS in front of him to try and defend that position, so he'll lose back into 4th position. Leclerc is up into the podium once more, and you can see the gap has really closed down now to Oscar. We stay ahead of Lando Norris until lap 10, so that is objective absolutely completed, as behind us, Charles Leclerc has actually come into the lane according to the top corner there of the timing, and here he is. Absolutely, he's come into the lane, so he is coming in from 3rd position. So this is actually really early. It's only lap 10, so is Leclerc possibly on a 2-stopper here? The 2-stopper was an option, if you do recall, from the start of the Grand Prix. So, oh no, this is not going well. It's a Ferrari fumble in a time where they could clinch themselves 3rd in the Constructors' Championship, and it's a slow stop, and he's still got to make another one. Hamilton, though, he now finds himself inside the top 10. He started outside the 10, and so he's doing pretty well to get himself now into this phase of the Grand Prix, but that is also helped a little bit with other cars coming in for a 2-stop, as this battle between Norris and Verstappen has been heating up quite a bit, actually. They've been just a DRS swapping for most sections and most laps, changing positions, but that is just losing them more time, because the gap's now 6 seconds to myself, so it's dropped it a further 3, these two battling it out, and for myself, I still sit in the DRS of Oscar Piastri. So is there possibly a overtake coming for ourselves? We have to get pretty close at the moment. Piastri is really good in the opening sector, and then we kind of just stay with him through the DRS, and we gain a little bit of time through the final sector. So it's pretty much a game of cat and mouse with the delta there. It kind of ranges between 7/10, 4/10, that kind of area, as it is now back up to 7/10 as we head down the straight. It's Norris and Verstappen once again battling it out. We saw our teammate before moving himself up to 5th position, again aided by the fact that a lot of people who are coming in for the 2-stop are now making that overtake, and this battle here is really costing these 2 times. I keep saying it because it's just been proven, because the gap is now nearly to 8 seconds, and so these two battling it out may just actually aid Charles Leclerc, who's on screen now, making his way back inside the top 10. He's still got to make another pit stop, but these hard tyres, if he's got good enough pace and good enough traction, he could get himself essentially a really good overcut if Verstappen and Norris can keep battling it out, as he proves that traction I just spoke about by going around the outside at the first corner to get himself now up into 9th position. On board with ourselves. Next objective, get ourselves ahead of Oscar Piastri. Issue though, we are boxing this lap, so that will probably get postponed if we do not get this done before we come into the lane. Oscar Piastri, you can see slightly struggling on his tyres in the traction zones, but we've got the tyre wear icon as well, so we're struggling too as we come into the lane, lock up the rears just a little bit, and we're gaining a heap of time on Oscar here. Coming into the lane, as I predicted, it is going to be postponed, that objective to get by Oscar Piastri. Now, this will be our only stop for the Grand Prix. It's going to be onto the hard compound tyres. Surely this is going to be a good stop. It's a really good stop. It's 2.3. No, come on, go. I'm lost for words. Look at how much time we have just lost. I had my finger on the clutch paddle. I had the revs up. Was I not in gear or something? Because we just did not leave our box, and that has cost us a massive amount of time. It was less than a second when we're coming into the lane, and take a look at that now. It is over 3 seconds between myself and Oscar Piastri. We're currently P3, P4 on the road. Our teammates, though, Lando Norris and Sonny Hayes, will have to come in for a pit stop, and they have done now, as Norris is trying to get himself through the traffic that hasn't made a pit stop yet. Being Alex Albon, he's currently still sitting in P7, but he's to do a pit stop, so hopefully that will end up happening pretty soon, because there's a few cars behind that I'm sure would love the track position back. We get another objective here, and it's to achieve a quick lap time, so we need to use up these tyres while they're fresh and see if we can't get ourselves back to the back of Oscar Piastri in the end, because yeah, we've lost 3 seconds through our pit stop phase. We haven't been able to make the gap come down anywhere. It's still sitting at 3.3, so we have to, just knuckle down, try and get this done. As our teammate now gets himself up into 9th position, he's also trying to get himself through some of the traffic that's a little bit out of sequence at the moment, and He's looking like he's actually on a pretty good charge. Oscar Piastri sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We take that away from him and complete the objective that Mark is wanting from us. And so a very quick lap time. We have dropped that gap now down to 2.8 seconds. So we definitely have pace. We just need to be able to apply this pace consistently to try and get ourselves to Oscar Piastri and try and battle it out for this win. As he leads the Grand Prix, we sit in second position, and Charles Leclerc is on the podium, but he's still got a stop to go. He's on the two-stopper strategy. Max Verstappen lines up in fourth, and it's Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso, Alex Albon, our teammate Sonny Hayes from 14th now currently sits in 8th position. Jack Doohan and Esteban Ocon round out the points, and then it is George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Yuki Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton, and Isaac Hadjar just behind. And then it's the two Saubers of Gabriel Bortoleto, then Nico Hulkenberg, Oliver Behrman, Liam Lawson, Kimi Antonelli, Lance Stroll, and Pierre Gasly rounding out the field at the moment. He's a little bit further back. He's somehow 8 seconds off the back of Lance Stroll, and Kimi Antonelli a little bit of out of place further down the field. And it is only George Russell. He's up in 9th, so Mercedes not really having too good of a day as Max Verstappen goes around the outside at this long sweeper here, and that will get him now up onto the podium with Leclerc still needing to do another stop, and so he sits in a 4th position as Tsunoda. He's looking to get himself into the points, but it's going to be Ocon who's going to try and retake that position away from Yuki here, and he'll get that in the braking zone for this long left-hander. And that now will give Haas a singular championship point as Charles Leclerc now pulls into the lane. So this is going to be for his second pit stop in today's Grand Prix. He's going to drop in a fair bit down the field, probably actually trying to gauge how much he's going to lose here. He could find himself outside of the top 10 at this rate. It's going to be another set of hard compound tyres. They are seeming like to be the quicker tyre compared to the mediums, and there it is. He's in 8th position, so not quite outside the points, but pretty close. He was about 10 seconds away from losing a points-paying position, so a slow stop could have done that for him. So luckily Ferrari kind of got their act together, and they have performed a pretty good stop for their driver, and he now finds himself up into 7th position, getting himself past Yuki Tsunoda, and the second Ferrari there in the background of Hamilton currently sits in 9th position, 6 seconds ahead of Fernando Alonso, so looking like it's pretty safe in the points with only 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Back on board with ourselves, we've got our next objective, and this one is pretty motivational. Overtake Oscar Piastri, and the gap 1.3 seconds. We have been absolutely eating away at his race lead here, punching in quick lap after quick lap, and now you can see that at the top our gap is now only 0.4 of a second. We're well and truly within his DRS. Leclerc gets himself up into 6th position ahead of George Russell, and there it is. That is now the gap for the lead of the Grand Prix. Oscar Piastri ahead of myself, and the gap is only 0.4 of a second as we now jump back on board with ourselves. It's lap 26 of 29. We've got 3 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and it's a battle for the win. A little bit of a tail shake on the exit of the corner there for Oscar Piastri. Yellow flag there on my mini-map, so we have to get this move done now in case if there's a safety car using the DRS, all of our ERS, and that is us now up into the lead. But we now have to defend from Oscar Piastri through the DRS zones. It's Ocon who's suffered some sort of issue here on board with him. It doesn't look like he's going to have a crash. It's going to be a massive engine failure for him. A big plume of smoke, a bit of a smoke screen for everyone behind and holding them up as well. So that's going to bunch up the quarter end of the top 10 there for the remainder of the race. So a bit of a battle there brewing, and he parks it off safely. But now starting the final lap of the Grand Prix. We've managed to hold on for this long. But Oscar Piastri, he's only half a second behind. He's got 2 DRS zones that could help him get that lead away from ourselves, and we go through the first sector. This is where Oscar's stronger than us, but we're also trying to save a little bit of battery. We've only got it down to medium, so then we're not going to be completely under attack here at the hairpin. Hit our braking zone as best as we can, and now we have to punch it out of the corner. We need to use ERS. We have to try and make sure that we can stay ahead of him, but I have a bit of an idea. We're going to let him go through. I'm going to let him go through and get the DRS down the second straight. But this has got me a little bit nervous because he's pulled away a little bit extra than I thought he would have. And so now it's going to be up to a really good straight here. And he got the traction on us. Oh, he got the traction on us. we need to try and send it here. If we can't get it done here, that might be game over for our hopes of a race win. He manages to hold on just enough. We use all of the exit available. We use a bit more ERS. He's saving his battery, so we go down the inside at the hotel section. We have to drop it down an extra gear, but we get ourselves now up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Are we able to hold on for a few remaining corners? We've got ERS in hand if we need it. 2 more corners to go. 1 more corner to go. Hit the braking zone. Get it turned in. We don't go wide, and that is going to be race win number 6 for ourselves here in Abu Dhabi.
There it is, mate. The checkered flag, and the checkered flag on the season as well. And what a season it's been. We've had our ups and downs, but you know what? I've really enjoyed working with you, and I hope we can do it again. Nice one, mate. See you back at the pits.
Teamwork makes the dream work, and how well has this team worked today? It's victory for Joshua Pearce.
Well, a great victory today for the final race of the season, and you take that energy with you through the end of the year, through the winter break, and it's important because your team lives off of that. You want them to deliver you the best possible car for the start of next season's campaign.
Well, it's been a long wait for many of our drivers, but the wait is always worth it. Bring them out to the awaiting crowd. It's time for our podium celebrations.
What a thrilling end to that Grand Prix. Our last lap battle with Oscar Piastri, and we ended up on top. We claimed the victory for the final race of the season. The champion, Max Verstappen, he'll take the final step on the podium to round off a very successful season for him and the Red Bull outfit. They've had both their drivers claim a victory this season. Tsunoda got the win in Singapore, and the rest of the top 10 was Lando Norris, Sonny Hayes with a fantastic drive from 14th position, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Yuki Tsunoda, Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso, with Ocon the only non-finisher after that engine failure late into the Grand Prix, and Max Verstappen will close out the year with a 68-point victory over Lando Norris. Myself in the end only 30 points behind Lando for third, Hayes in ninth, 39 points behind George Russell, and Red Bull win the Constructors' Championship by only 9 points to McLaren, so it all was down to the wire. We do claim that third position away from Ferrari in the final race of the season, and we claim that by 10 points, so massive weekend for ourselves to get that away from Ferrari, and we have a new accolade for the top 5 appearances in qualifying, and another one for finishing in the top 5 in the Drivers' Championship, and we have won our driver rating rivalry against Pierre Gasly. And speaking of driver ratings, ours has had big improvements. Our experience and awareness gain points, racecraft to level 86, pace to level 90, focus to level 83 for an overall driver rating of level 88 to round out the year, and our driver recognition at season end stays at 58%. And for next episode, we'll be rounding out this season with the last of the little admin things to do. We'll select our team for next season. We have a few secret meetings, which we ended up declining all of them. And so because of that, it's going to be pretty interesting to see if any of those teams will still have an interest in us. And everything else you need to know before the start of the new season will be all done next episode. So I'll see you then for the start of Season 2.